left. It's another math day. So here we go. We're just going to review what we talked about yesterday with Miss Troutline. So let's practice telling and writing time today. Our learning target, I can tell time in half hours on analog and digital clocks. Okay, so we'll start real quick with a review of telling time.
off in a hurry, we ran, we bounded to get Lexi home fast so she wouldn't be grounded. When the hour hands on a number and the minute hands up, we know it's o'clock, whether breakfast or sun. If the hour hands right between two numbers per se, it's half past the hour, or 10:30 that day. Yeah. With the long minute hand that represents the minutes gone by, it's easy to tell time and to soon see why. Each number on the clock is 5 minutes in it. If you skip count by 5 and tell the time, make it a split.
All right, team. Okay, and so we're back. As we practiced yesterday, and as you remember from the video, we're talking about clocks and the hands on the clock doing different things. So before we start, I'm going to ask that you make sure that you have pencil and paper. And also, going back to Miss Troutline's video, she said if you had time to go ahead and make a clock. So here you see my start. I have the 12 and the 6, and then I'm going to add some more numbers. So I started with the 12, found the middle, then I lined up my 6, and now I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 and my 9 across from the 3. So here's my 3, it's lined up with the middle, and then my 9 lined up with the middle, so that I can get all of the numbers on my clock. So if you have a paper plate, great. If not, you can use a piece of paper and make a circle. Use a regular plate to trace your circle so that it's in a real circle. And then you're going to cut that out. So you might need to pause the video to finish that. But for now, if you can and you have materials around to make a clock, I'm going to finish my clock so that I can have a tool to practice with you guys. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can still learn the clock without holding one. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the numbers. So after the 12, I'm going to put my 1 and 2. And then next to the 3, I'm just going to go all the way around the clock in a clockwise direction. Okay? So you can see here I filled in my numbers, and I have just this little tack. If you don't have a tack, that's okay. You can use a paper clip. And I'm going to do my hands on my clock. So to do my hands, I went through my recycling, and I found this envelope from my brother, but he sent me a letter, and so I found just a little piece of paper that's a little thicker than regular paper. If you can't find that, you can use regular paper too. So I drew like a little house with a little roof on top, and then I drew the hand on the clock. So you're going to need scissors to cut it out, and we're going to do an hour hand too. So I'm going to make another one. I'll draw my triangle on the top, and it's got to be a lot shorter. Otherwise I'll get confused because the hour hand is much shorter than the minute hand. And so I'm going to draw my little house and make sure it's thick enough that when I cut it, I'm not going to lose all of it. So here we go. I drew another little house, and I'm going to cut both of these out. So you can see here that I have my hour hand and my minute hand. And my hour hand I made a different color just to make it easier for me to see. So I have a blue marker that I used, and then I'm going to put my hour and minute hand on the clock that I made. So I put them flat on the paper plate so that I'm not poking myself. Here's my homemade clock that I'm going to use for the lesson today. So you can see on the hour hand is pointing at the 12, and then the minute hand is going to point at the 6 for right now. So it's, wait, I got to do it between the 12 and the 1. There we go. So you can see it's 12:30 on the clock. Okay, so if you see the title of this slide, it says the clock moves in a clockwise direction. And so I'm going to show you that happens. So here is the first clock that you see moving in a clockwise direction. Okay, 2 o'clock to 2:15. So notice that the minute hand moves this way, 5, 10, 15. And then it's moving more in the clockwise direction, so 15, 20, 25, and then it's going to the 30. And the hour hand does move a little bit, like Mrs. Troutwine talked about. It's a little bit slower, maybe a little bit lazy because it's taking its time. And then the next one, it moves from the 6 to the 7, 8, 9 to get to 2:45, and then 3 o'clock finally. So you can see from the beginning it was at the 2, and the minute hand was at the 12, and it moves this direction always. Clocks always move in a clockwise direction. Okay, so how do we read these clocks? We're going to review today the hour and minute hands, and you can see that on here it shows both the analog clock, and then it also shows the digital time. So if you were to see the digital time, would you be able to read it as well? Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and grab your pencil and paper, and we're going to practice. So go ahead with the first one. What time does it show? And keep in mind, the shorthand is the hour hand, always the hour hand, and you always start with the hour hand. So you would say the hour first. And this one's not pointing exactly at an hour, so it's in between 2 hours, right? So it's halfway between. So if we look, it's just half past the 7. You're always going to look at the number that is closer if it's moving in the clockwise direction. You always say the lower number, except for at the 1. Yep, so it's 7 and it's pointing at the 6, so 7:30. Okay, so what time do these clocks show? Let's go ahead and get your pencil, paper. You're going to number it 1 through 5. Okay, so if you need to pause the video, you can. I paused to write down my answers, and now I'm ready to share them with you. So go ahead and pause if you need to. And remember, your paper's numbered 1 through 5, and then you can put next to each clock. So here we go. Let's see here. So for the first clock, I saw 7:30. The second clock, 8:30. The third clock, 3:30, 4:30, and 10:30. And the tricky part about clocks and telling time is that as the minute hand moves, so does the hour hand. And so if you notice, these clocks, just like Mrs. Troutwine talked about, these clocks are halfway past their number. So if you look at the 7, you don't say 8:30, you say 7:30 because it's half past the 7. And then this one, you say the smaller number first, and so you know it's 8:30, then 3:30, then 4:30, then 10:30. Okay, so go ahead and you guys can try this again. You can write 5 more, and we're going to just do them with the digital clock that I made today. Okay, so we're going to start with the one that it's showing right now. So this will be number, actually let's do 6 through 10. So go ahead and write a number 6. Okay. This one's kind of hard to show as precisely as the worksheet. So if you look, the 6 is kind of covered up by the minute hand, but that's a 6 that it's pointing at. And if you notice, the hour hand is between the 5 and the 6, so you say the smaller number. So number 6 is 5:30. Go ahead and write that digital time. I'll add it to my paper too. And remember, if you get behind, you can always pause the video. Okay. Next one we're going to do What time is it, Mr. Fox? Can you see that? Looks a little crooked. It's pointing at the 12. So what time is that? We say o'clock when it's pointing at the 12. 1 o'clock. Here you go. Do number 8. I'm going to leave it pointing at the 12, and I'm going to point the hour hand at the 3. Okay. Whoops. So it's o'clock again. It's, go ahead and write it, 3 o'clock. Great. We'll do 2 more. This time I'm going to go halfway in between 2 numbers. I'm going to go halfway between the 8 and the 9. And then I'm going to point my minute hand down at the 6. So I have 8:30. And now number 10. I'm going to go halfway between the 10 and the 11. And you always start with the number that the smaller number, unless it's 1. Okay, so it's halfway between the 10 and 11. Go ahead and pause if you need to. And number 10, we got 10:30. So here's my paper with all the times shown. Hopefully this is review from yesterday and you are able to complete these. All right, team. So I just pulled up an online activity on Splash Math. And on Splash Math, you can do a guest and do a game. So this one's on time. It says, where does the hour hand point? And so I'm going to look which one's longer. Okay, it looks like the 7 is shorter. So I'm going to say, oh, the hour hand points to the 7.
Awesome. Which clock shows
Half past 3, so 3:30. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. It looks like it's pointing between the 3 and the 4, and then it's pointing at the 6. The next one looks like it's pointing, shorthand is pointing at the 8, and the longhand is at the 12, so that's an o'clock. This one's between the 8 and the 9, and we have a guest with us now, learning about clocks. Say hi. Hi, everybody. I love clocks and time. We just woke up. And then this one is at the 3 and the 12, so 3 o'clock. So if you guessed the first one, you are right.
Good going.
Let's take a look at the next one. Read time from the clock. Oh my goodness, where's the hour hand? I can't even see it. That means it's behind the minute hand. So if they're both pointing at the 12, what time is it, Mr. Fox? It's not half past. It's not half past anything. So it's either the 5 o'clock or the 12 o'clock. And since we know it's pointing at the 12, we're going to go ahead and say 12 o'clock.
On a roll. The hour hand points between 11 and 12. The minute hand points at 6. What is the time?
Did you get it? The hour hand points between the 11 and the 12. So you know you're going to say 11 first, and the minute hand points at the 6. So what time is it? If the minute hand is at the 6, remember, that's our 30, pointing between the 11 and the 12. So you're going to say half past 11. Okay, so you can access this resource. This is Splash Math. It's on our links in our website. If you would like to continue to practice your times. And we're going to do one more where we're going to write down the words for the time. So on that same sheet of paper, if you have space, you can either use the backside or you can make another column. We're going to write down some words. So go ahead and get ready for that. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and write down some words. So on your paper, if you have space on this side, you can go ahead and number again. We're going to do 5 more. So I'm on number 11. So I'm going to write an 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it looks like this. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a look. On this side of the slide, you have the words 1 through 12, because that's how many numbers are on a clock. And then I have the word o'clock and 30 so that you are able to write the word. So we're going to take a look at what the digital time says, and then we're going to write it down with words. So let's take a look at the first one. It's that. So first you start with the hour and you write that first. So what is the hour? 7. And then the minutes? 30. So you're going to write 7:30. Okay, and then so for the next ones, I'm not going to say the answer out loud. I'm going to let you go ahead and write them down. And then as you finish writing them, you can continue the video. If you need to pause it at any time, you can go ahead and do that. So here's the next one. Are you ready? Start with that hour hand. Write it first. Here's the next one. You can always pause. I'm going too fast because you can't say, Mrs. Miller, slow down, because I won't hear you right now. Here we go. That was number 14 and number 15. Okay, so go ahead and pause if you're not finished with those questions, as I'm going to go through them and give the answer. So here we go. You did the first one. You did the first one already together. We said it out loud. So 7:30. Go ahead and say the next one with me on 1, 2, 3. 9:30. So here's how it looks with words. Okay, and you saw the next one if you looked. And for the next one, we'll say it together. 1, 2, 3, 12 o'clock. And then the next one, we're on number 14. This one right here. So together in 3, 1, 2, 3, 6:30. And then the last one. Can't see it right now, it's hiding. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. All right. So you guys, that is the review for telling time to the half hour or to 30 minutes. And we practiced today with an analog clock. If you had a chance to make one, great. If not, you still can do it. I used a paper plate, but you can always use just a regular piece of paper and trace something that's round like a plate and cut it out. And then to make my spinner, I used a tack, which probably is a little bit unsafe because if you look at the back, there's like a pokey thing, but I did it so that it was on this part of my plate. I'm gonna go put it back now though, so I don't poke myself. And yeah, so it's been great fun, and I hope you guys are getting really good at telling time, and you continue to practice it. And that game that I played again was from Splash Math, and that is linked on our website if you would like to play a little bit more with time. Have a great day.